This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, guys. So myself, Ravinder, I'm working as a SQL DBA last 15 years. I'm working as a Azure SQL DBA more than 7 years now. I do work on MongoDB, Postgres, AWS Cloud, and Google Cloud also. So this is a little introduction about myself. So today we're going to talk about mainly what are the advantage of cloud implementation. Like if your companies are showing interest to move the cloud technologies, and what are the benefits in fact companies are gaining out of it in fact, and why we need to learn, and what cloud technology is good to learn for SQL DBAs, and the justification we're going to see that. What are the cloud implementation models we do have? How to understand what service fall under where? Little idea I'll give it today. It's not about much technical side. It is a more of informative side because it is just a demo. Anyway, every class is like a workshop. When I start, everything will be going to be in more of practical side. I'm going to share all the real time scenarios when we start the actual operations and when we start. So for today's discussion, what I wanted to discuss is all about on-prem data centers. So what are the challenges the clients are facing to maintain their own data centers, and what are the advantages we are going to get when we move to the cloud? That I'm going to compare, and what was there before cloud, and how virtualization was adopted in the market and why. So then what are the cloud computing model, what is cloud computing, and what are the models we do have and categories, so and benefits. This is a major agenda of our entire discussion, because majority of our class will be spent on the benefits of cloud. This is where you need to understand mostly. Okay, then different providers, and why we need to learn out of all Azure available cloud providers. What are the certifications you can take after this course? So this is what our major agenda, what I'm going to cover. Then let's talk about on-prem data centers. First, to talk about on-prem data centers, there are many challenges for anyone to maintain. They'll get the more control on their infrastructure, but the operations cost is very high. So first thing is they have to identify a dedicated space where they can host the servers, which is safe against the natural calamities, or like wherever they host the servers, that should be safe against any unexpected events kind of thing. Like it can be earthquake, a floods area that should not hit by the floods. Or they'll investigate the area where they had to place the data center, which should not be disturbed in fact by the external factors. And also, you don't just sit at the data center side and then work, right? You always sit remotely and then start working through your operation center. The servers deployed somewhere all the time, so you need to have a proper bandwidth laid out between your operation center, or you will also go with a third party vendor where you will buy the bandwidth between the operation center to your data center. It is company to company this will change, but you need to have a high bandwidth capabilities to get the rate out of your data center for operation center all the time. This must be done by the companies itself who are owning the data center. Software licensing. So to run any business, we need a front end softwares, middleware software, back end softwares, right? So some are open sources, some are licensed. All need to be tracked annually and then paid out on timely basis to get the unnecessary penalties and all that. So this must be tracked, definitely must be tracked, and then cleared out on time, the licensing costs and all that. So, and also extremely redundant power. So you cannot rely on the electricity power what is supplying there. There could be floods which can disturb the power supply, or anything that strikes in that area, anything that can happen, right? So you need to have a backup power supply like diesel generators and the UPS system to keep your servers up and running all the time. You must have that kind of backup plan for yourself, for you maintain your data centers. Dust free controlled environment. So why I'm discussing all these points, I'll come to the conclusion anyway. So dust free environment, because within the data centers, if if the environment is not clear, example, if CPU fans runs 24 by 7, it accumulates the dust from the atmosphere and then it won't restart when you do it. They'll have to manually go and open the box and then clean up that, then it'll start it actually. So that's why within the data center it is absolutely dust free. and efficient cooling and air ventilation system. If the CPU is running 24 by 7, it generates the heat. In fact, the CPU inside the any laptop also you experience, right, when you run more long hours. So to if you don't maintain the temperature beyond certain temperature, the circuits will break and then the systems can corrupt. So you have to maintain sufficient cooling, else the servers can crash. So that must be maintained all the time. And you should not allow anyone to enter into the data center. Only authorized people who are authorized by your client, who really have the ID and all, they can enter and do the repair if anything required. And also we cannot rely on a single data center. A single data center can be corrupted, so you definitely have to replicate your entire data from one data center to other data center in case of any disaster happens. You already analyzed the disasters should not happen, but you cannot predict, right? So in that case, you definitely have to have your DR data center where you have to do everything again, whatever we talked about in the above points, right? It all together very expensive. Like you need to hire different profiles, like for backups, for hypervisor, for storage, for Windows, for each technology. There will be more people to maintain the infrastructure technically as well. You don't data center side also, you there is a lot of expense you are doing it. Even to maintain the in on-prem technologies also, you are paying more, in fact. So to eliminate this, cloud is giving many ready-made benefits. So there we're going to touch base these things you don't need there, kind of. Okay, these are all challenges when someone is maintaining their own data centers. Let's move on. So what was there before cloud? Cloud is actually nowadays is a popular service everywhere. Anybody can grow their business globally on the fly and build the servers anywhere in the world and then make them connected. How that happens also we will see in the lab. I'll create multiple discussions on this one. I'll create the servers in India, I'll create the servers in US, in a different regions. How the servers in the cloud can communicate using the backend networks in a secure channels. How that happens, we're going to see that. But here, managed instance is something is equivalent to cloud before cloud evolved. These people used to be provide the similar services what cloud is providing now, but their existence is very limited to geographic region. So that's why these people are not doesn't have the good scope nowadays. But before cloud evolved, cloud was started into the net. AWS cloud is the first cloud, right? So which is started into the net. So before that, what was there? Managed services. So what these people do, they'll do end-to-end support. They will manage the servers, infrastructure, licensing, everything, and they will ask you to pay at the end of this is the charge for this server entirely. So even they are more advanced than the cloud, but the problem is their existence is very limited. So in terms of infrastructure and geographic, so they are not sustaining in the market anyway. Though they are giving better than the clouds, uh, services, but they cannot sustain because they don't have infrastructure. Virtualization. So why did I keep this point especially? Every time market is clients are always wanted to move one to other technology, other anything that benefits the company, in fact. So before VMware was introduced in 1999, VMware was introduced. Before that, we used to have a very big physical box dedicated for one business that will be hosted for a single application, which will definitely take the load during the peak hours. It is configured with high configuration, which will sustain during the peak hours. But what about the non-peak hours? You're not utilizing your computing resources 24 by 7 only during certain time in a day. Their peak hours, during that time you are using up to 100% of your resources. But what about the rest of the day? You're not using it. And also you need more space to keep each server separately in the data center. So what are the challenges with the VMware virtual machine? You can buy a big physical machine. On top of it, you can build small tiny machines and then use each VM as a one server. So you're utilizing the underlying resources on a shared basis. You can use one VM, maybe we're not using other VM using for the maintenance task in the background. You're keeping and engaging your like computing devices, your investment all the time for your workload. It is best efficiently utilizing the IT resources in the background by using the VMware. So anything people are getting the benefit, people are moving there. They are not actually stucking with something what they are using, right? So everywhere, anything getting the benefit, they are showing interest to move. So that's where we're going to discuss about cloud implementation and benefits. So we'll talk about it. What is cloud computing? Cloud computing is something you don't keep the data in your systems, you will keep in the cloud provider, and then you access from there when you required. And also this the services whatever you use in the cloud are absolutely on demand. You use for a day and then destroy it, you will pay only for one day. You use for 1 month and destroy, you'll pay for 1 month. It is a pay per use basis. In fact, if it is a on-prem, if I purchase a server, if I purchase a server, the server today is absolutely sophisticated, but after certain years it definitely outdated because of data growth nowadays is abnormal in any of the system. Data is versatile and growing like anything in any, even you are experiencing, we all are DBS, right? So data nowadays is growing very exponentially. The hardware what we have right now definitely will not support the data growth that is coming into the system after few years. So every time the data grows beyond the capacity of the hardware layer support, you have to buy the new hardware and migrate it. And also you have to do the software upgrades. That time also you have to buy standby parallel servers and do the migration with a, but without having any interruption to the applications, side by side upgradations. So for many reasons your investment is really wasted. Why? Because if I'm buying the infrastructure today, 10 years, after 10 years, my whatever I'm buying today is absolutely outdated and it won't work for me. So every 10 years I have to reinvest entirely on the hardware again. If it is a cloud, it is not the case. You use 10 years or 20 years, I mean every 1 year also you can upgrade or change your softwares, versions. Whenever you create a other alternate server, once the product is migrated to the higher side or hardware is upgraded, you destroy the old one. You are paying to the same money on what you used to pay on the older and the new also. So cloud is may not giving you the benefit immediately in the larger scale, but it will definitely benefit all the companies in the down the line as well. That's the futuristic goal, in fact, I would say. That's what uh, people are exploring the cloud environment, though they don't have a current requirements in the market. You would have seen in your companies like asking you, giving you free accounts and explore the things kind of. That's how we started when we started anyway. So what is cloud computing is a use of remote servers on the internet to store, manage the and process the data rather than keeping your local servers. In fact, keeping in the cloud servers, you don't keep you data with you and you will give someone else will maintain your infrastructure and they will keep your servers up and running all the time. So you only manage your data. If it is a VM, if it is a PaaS, you don't even have to manage your data. It is completely managed by the cloud itself. I'll talk about those models anyway in the further slides. Cloud computing is a delivery of on-demand computing resources over the internet on pay-per-use basis. So it is like I need the resources, like I need 10 servers for 10 days because there is a huge spike is going to hit my systems because there is some sale is going on. I can create 10 servers on temporary basis, destroy straight after it. If it is on-prem, I purchase 10 servers means purchase. You use it, you don't use it, you invested already, right? So there will be definitely you are unnecessarily wasting the money on the IT resources because of the demand temporarily you invested, but after the demand is over, what you will use with that extra hardware? You cannot do anything, right? That is invested money is wasted. So the cloud is not like that. You can just destroy it and then you don't have to pay after it. Just the time being you are using it, use it and then pay it and destroy it. That's it. So public cloud. So today's class is all about more of information, guys. Just follow it. I mean, it will definitely help you out why we need to learn cloud kind of. Just have an idea on this. What is public cloud? Public cloud is something anyone who can have a account, like whoever have a debit card, credit card, can subscribe and then start building the resources. No one is restricted. Everybody can do it. So it is open for the public, in fact, right? Private is not like that. Private is something owned by a single organization. They manage it and they own it and they don't share that infrastructure with anyone. It is absolutely for them only. But the public cloud is not like that. Anybody can come and use it. And again, one person, whatever they are using, they cannot touch other resources, though it is shared, as long as you don't create the bad rules. How the bad rules can be created, how the communication can be leaked, or bad rules can be created, that we will see in the networking module. We'll spend 4 classes to understand how the communication works in the cloud. See, pro- the SQL is just a product. Product is running on the platform. First, we need to understand the platform, how the product is integrated, how it is communicating with the platform one to other. So that part I'll cover first. Then I'll enter into the product side. When I enter the product side, you don't face any understanding issues at all. So there I'm going to cover how the public cloud is really safe for us, how we have to protect it also. We'll talk about it. Hybrid benefit. Hybrid cloud. Hybrid cloud is something combination of on-prem and cloud. See, we are in our environment, 70% of our infrastructure is a cloud, 30% still we retained the on-prem itself because of legacy applications, because of the complexity of the applications, and there are some financial applications which are not migrated to the cloud. So reasons could be anything, but you're operating in a like using both environments, your own infrastructure and the cloud infrastructure together to run your business. That is a hybrid cloud. In fact, you're using the combination of both public and private is a hybrid environment. So now mostly all environments nowadays are hybrid. The if it is not a new business, if it is a new, always people are going to the cloud only. Maximum 90% of the people definitely choose a cloud because it's a ready-made infrastructure. They don't have to invest anything in the beginning of the business itself. Then, what are the SaaS services? What are the PaaS services? What is the IA services? Just let's understand a little about it. So I'll justify on every service when we discuss what service and where this service category fall into. How do you understand by looking at this service fall under IaaS model, this service model PaaS model, this service model goes into SaaS model? You can easily understand. SaaS is something, anything that is ready-made, ready to use softwares comes under SaaS services. The example is the GoToMeeting link I just given you. Even I did not do anything. I purchased that link from the GoToMeeting vendor and then give it to you. So the other example is Gmails. The best example is Play Store, guys. You have Google Play Store in your phones. You just download, give your just basic identities, and then use it. No one is approving it. No one is configuring your profile. You're doing yourself. So anything as such, that kind of applications comes under SaaS, ready to use softwares. No one need to do anything on top of it. It is a predefined, administrations already deployed. Everything is just done in the background, including the maintenance, and you just have to subscribe and use it. That kind of services comes under SaaS. All Play Store services comes under SaaS. Your email, Gmail, Hotmail, any mail comes under SaaS only, because you're not going to the company to get your email. You're just opening, create Gmail account, and then creating a new Gmail account, start using it, right? So there, no one is actually helping out. You yourself doing it. So any service comes in that way. I mean, that easy. That comes under SaaS. PaaS is something, it runs on top of the cloud, and you have the full like control on the cost optimizations, performance optimizations, security compliances, and controlling of services in terms of taking the backup, maybe restoring it whenever you wanted. You can build your own data on top of it. You can operate your data on top of it. So the SaaS is not something like that. You cannot do any administration here. Here you can do 30 to 40% of the administration, not all. Again, we'll talk about the entire SQL Server in the past model is always highest version 2019 right now, and 2022 is there, but we don't have that yet. It is still in the CTP, Customer Improvement Program, CIP. It is not fully production yet. Okay. So 2019 enterprise by default. In the past model, if you are creating a SQL Server, they don't give you a choice to choose which version you wanted, which edition you wanted. There is no such choice for you. You definitely have to go to 2019 and you have to go to enterprise edition only. There is no such option. If it is a VM model, you will get a VM object. You do whatever you want to do inside the VM object. Anything that you deal with the VM, that comes under IaaS model. If you don't, go into the VM and do it without going into the VM and do any service and then do the administration, that might fall under PaaS or SaaS. But you have a VM object that comes under IaaS service. Simply keep some blind understanding on this so that you can understand what service fall under what category when we start the course as well. In fact, so when it is IaaS model, it is a full responsibility. They are giving you a VM object with a software. They will maintain your storage, they will maintain your server uptime, everything, but they will not maintain what is there inside the VM. It is probable that VM disk can corrupted because it is also somewhere physical. You have to take your continuous backups, you have to configure your own always ons, you have to make your lock shippings. If you want, you need to take like third party backup tools, whatever you wanted to implement and protect the data in all directions. They only give you the uptime of the server. If something is corrupted, means corrupted in the cloud also. If it is a VM model, you have to do the same kind of administration what we do in the on-prem in the cloud also if it is a VM. Okay. PaaS is there is a lot of difference between the IaaS model to PaaS model. If it is a PaaS model, you just create a database, it will take care of. So if I create a one single database in the cloud in the PaaS model, it will make two more copies automatically, and it will sync the data asynchronously to these copies automatically, and it takes the backup automatically, and it will maintain one more copy automatically in the same region, two copies automatically, and it'll copy one more backup file into the another region, paid region here. So you are creating only one database, but in the background these are all designed. You don't have to ask for this design. You create a database here, it is creating two more copies in the background, three copies of backups in the background. Okay, why two copies they are maintaining? It is a corruption free data in the PaaS model. Corruption free. How do you say it is a corruption free? Because they are maintaining three copies. Any segment of data can, it is also physical, somewhere it can corrupt. But how do they say that corruption free? Because they have three copies. So what it does, it does a checksum data health continuously one to other members. If any segment is corrupted, healthy data will come and repair that corrupted segment automatically. As a user, you don't know there was a corruption happened on the data and then it got recovered. It will happen by the system itself. You don't have to worry about. What you need to worry about, if someone is deleted a data manually by mistake, that will replicate everywhere in every copy, that cannot be protected by the cloud. It will protect against you against hardware failures of the data. If it is corrupted, it will repair on its own and then give you the data all the time. But if someone deleted a data, that cannot be protected. That's why you have a continuous backups. You can restore with a single click a normal, I mean, another database, a copy database. You fill that gap what was deleted. So that's how the PaaS model works. You have a manual corruption, still you have a recovery. If a hardware corruption, you still have recovery. 100% recovery all the time is given and guaranteed by the any cloud provider in the PaaS model. This is the design for the PaaS model for any database implementation. For the VM model, you don't have such protections. Just they were giving you a VM object, inside any do whatever you want. They don't care about you're running a database, you're running a web server, you're running some middleware software. They don't care about what they care about. They're giving you an object, VM object. Inside in it, what you do for your business purpose, do it, and you have to protect whatever you have inside the VM with the given technologies. Okay, so that's the something we need to understand as a just a basic knowledge. Anyway, whenever I start any service, first I'll give the background of the service, and then we will enter into the service discussion. First creation, and then intentionally we will break the things, and then how do you identify, how do you fix. This is what in every class we'll run through. It is not what is what, guys. I don't every class you will feel it. I mean, you after few classes you will see it how the classes are actually real time oriented. Anyway, let's come to one more thing. If you look at this diagram closely with the, if I zoom in, just understand. Come on, just too much. So if you look at this, if it is your on-prem, you are responsible for every single piece of operation: networking, storage, servers, virtualization, voice middle, anything for that matter. No need to name it. If it is infrastructure as a service, networking, storage, servers, everything is managed by the cloud. They will give you the OS and a VM object. It could be Linux, it could be Windows operating system based on your requirement. Once the VM object is given within the OS, you have to patch it on your own, or else Microsoft also will do it. Both the case I'll cover anyway when we create the VM. How do you choose that Microsoft will patch your VM or you want to do yourself? You can choose the option when you're creating it. We'll talk about it. What cases we'll let the Microsoft, what cases we don't. We will talk about it. And what are the product you wanted to run, you can run. You can stop the product, you can install whatever the version of SQL Server you wanted, whatever the edition you wanted, what is the patch level you wanted. You have a full control on top of it. Okay. When it comes to the PaaS model, it's a PaaS model, what it is, in fact, platform as service. You don't have a choice to choose operating system version, SQL Server version, edition, patch, nothing. Absolutely nothing. It will come with all the highest versions that are available in the production in the market in the by the Microsoft. And you cannot even stop the SQL Server or database in the PaaS model. It runs 24/7. You cannot stop it. When we cannot stop it, how do we do the maintenance activities? Like we wanted to stop the operations, but database is absolutely online all the time. So how you do it? I will talk about the procedures in the course anyway. What do you deal with the data? What do you deal with the purchasing model and securities? And performance models like creating index, maintaining the indexes, right? And giving the data replications if you want, on-prem to cloud, cloud to on-prem, and cloud to cloud data replications as a requirement as you get it. So we will do equivalent operations in the PaaS model also, but they are very ready-made. Few clicks will make entire configuration for us. Service, nothing in your hand. It is everything in the cloud hand, like they will maintain end to end. That is a SaaS services. In fact, as I said, all Google Play Store apps comes under SaaS services. Let's talk about the benefits. This is a major agenda, guys. We'll spend good time here. Cost for any company. Why they do the business? For gaining the money from the market. No one is doing the business for charity. Wherever they can save the money, they definitely look for that and then do that action definitely. So how cloud is actually giving a cost benefit solution? As I said in the beginning, you are purchasing the hardware today, it will definitely get outdated after a few years, and you have to repurchase the same hardware with the higher specs, higher better sophisticated hardware to cope with your data that is currently is there on system. And also you need time to time software upgrades also. That time also you need to have a standby hardware to do the parallel upgrades, right? You need to side by side, like you cannot just do the in place. If you do the in place, many of the products don't have a downgrade option. So you, if something is broken, you cannot go downwards, right? It is a huge headache to roll back. That's why you definitely go to side by side. You have to reinvest another parallel infrastructure for moving all the time, right? So those are all challenges. In the cloud you don't have that. You don't have to do that. I mean, you have to create a new parallel server, that is okay, but once the migration is done, you are destroying the old one. If it is on-prem, if you are migrating the old hardware to new hardware, the old hardware given to the the crash vendor, the trash vendor, he will charge you for trashing it. I mean, they will be licensed people. They don't misuse the hardware. They don't recover the data from your hardware. They definitely destroy it. They are licensed people. So you are giving the hardware to someone to destroy it and paying for them. For anyway, you invested, that money is wasted. Again, to just destroy it, or also you are paying money for that. So there are many revenue leaks actually that side. That's why the cloud is ready-made, and then you can use it the time you wanted, and then you can upgrade, you can migrate to higher specs. It hardware layer, physical layer, both you can, so you can easily do it. So that is a good selling point. In fact, one of the companies will have a vision, right? Every company will have a vision in the for future. So cloud is a next generation computing model, right? Everywhere. So definitely every company is exploring these options. That's where the market is growing for the cloud, in fact. So cloud computing is eliminating the capital expense of the companies of buying hardware, software, setting up, running on-site data centers. Any new companies that are coming in the market are absolutely going to the cloud. Most of the companies, 90% of the companies. People are not interested anymore to create their own data center and maintain with many people and having all the time headache by themselves, right? Someone else is taking your infrastructure, they are maintaining it and giving you a ready-made, solution for you. So what is stopping them? Definitely they'll take that advantage, right? Just a minute. Right. So when you implement the cloud, clients don't need to maintain the infrastructure, licenses, bandwidth, air conditioning, what water, everything what they are using the on-prem data center. They don't have to. They only have to, look after their business model. They don't have to look at the infrastructure side. So this will offload the, headache, right? Unnecessary headache. So this is another one benefit. Directly, it is giving you the cost benefit because anytime you wanted on-demand IT, the computing resources, you can build, you can destroy right after the demand is over without paying extra anything after it. So whatever the period you use, you'll pay for it. Global scale. So you when your business is growing, you are not going to run your business in one country, right? Everything is MNCs now, multinational companies everywhere. Everyone is growing globally. When they are growing globally, they cannot go to every country and build their own data centers, right? If I look at the, if I have the company in US, they are expanding to India, maybe Australia, maybe, some countries everywhere. So these countries are in different continents, in fact, physically. So they cannot keep one data center and give the data to all the countries over internet. They can give, it is possible, but the latency will be there. The far the distance, the latency will be there. Though the everything is good, but still the data has to travel, right? You have to maintain the local copy of that region. So you cannot also, again, if you go growing your business into different countries, you cannot build your own data centers. You cannot afford everything what you we discussed in the first slide. They had to do every country. It is not possible. I mean, it is possible, but it is expensive for the client, for the companies, in fact. So in the cloud, you can directly create the resources ready-madely in any country, and then logically you can join using your own private networks. How that can be done, we're going to see in practical, in fact. So you can easily globally can grow without deploying your data centers. You can directly create your resource in any region that the cloud is giving, and then start doing the business and giving the data locally available to that region. So though data locality is available, when the data locality is available, performance will be very good in terms of data retrieval. In the background, you can sync your data at the end to the major your, a main head office or any major data center, but data can be, operated from local regional operation centers. You don't have to depend on single data center for all the connections, in fact. That way you can run your business globally, and that's where this global scale is becoming easy with the cloud implementation. The ability to scale elastically and delivering right amount of IT resources from right geographic region, in fact, right? This is a great benefit to any company who are growing now in the market. Okay. Performance. Performance is very important. First thing is data locality, like we are giving the data in the right geographic location for the operation center. That is a first thing that is considered as performance itself. And also you have to do the hardware upgrades, software upgrades time to time. The hardware vendors will give the new features to give you the better IO capacity and for better data protection at IO level itself, right? And also the software side, time to time, the softwares whatever you have it, definitely they do upgrade. The If you look at the SQL itself, every 2 to 3 years we are getting the new versions. Every new version has a new capabilities. To take that capabilities, for giving to the client, that's the features, you definitely have to upgrade. So when you are upgrading it again, you need the side by side infrastructure in the cloud, also in on-prem also. You can build and then migrate. This kind of upgrades become very easy with the cloud implementation. You can just build a new server parallel till it gets, migrated and stabilized. You run the new server, keep the old server till everything is good on the new server, then destroy the old server. You don't have to worry about it. So racking and stacking, you don't need it. You don't have to. If it is a on-prem, you'll have your procurement team. Your company will ask these many servers I need. This is why it is a new requirement is coming. The procurement will go to the vendor. First finance team, finance will approve the budget. Then they'll go to the vendor, and then they'll give the order the equipment. They will build according to your need. They'll give it to you. They will place in the data center. Then install the OS and install the the network components and all that, and then it will come to the product. Product will be installed, and then development will be done. This is a huge sequence of events should happen if it is on-prem. It is not just on the fly. If it is a cloud, it is on the fly. Any big or small server doesn't matter. You can build on the fly. It takes hardly 5 minutes any big server to build in the cloud. Just 5 minutes. So the delivery of resources become very rigorous in the cloud with the help of the cloud implementation, not like on-prem. On-prem definitely will take time because of these events. This is a company model will follow. Like there will be procurement, vendor, finance, and then the waiting period to get that required hardware from the vendor, because you given some custom specifics to the vendor to build. So all will take time. Here everything is ready made. I need 1 TB to 10 TB, you just give the number, it will extend automatically. You don't worry about how many LUNs they are joining it. You will only get the logical store and use it. You are getting data out of it. You don't worry about. So all that is possible with the cloud, and you are time to time you can upgrade and softwares, upgrade your hardware also according to your data growth that is happening on systems. Speed. One thing here is you don't have to do the capacity planning. First thing, depressurized capacity. This is what I wanted to mainly talk about. See, if it is on-prem, I cannot run my all the infrastructure occupied, and then I don't have a storage. I have to purchase tomorrow and get it kind of. You always keep your buffer storage, buffer computing resources all the time available. If not, if the business is already running neck to neck, you cannot take any new load, right? That is extra unexpected load. You need to have extra resources, at least 20 to 30% buffer free resources available all the time. You need to plan your capacity time to time. If it is consuming day by day more and more, you have to buy new hardware and keep the buffer all the time. If it is a cloud, it's not like that. You just expand it on the fly. One CPU to 100 CPUs, just one click, one restart, it will get scaled up. There is no rejection on top of it. From any size to any size, you can scale up on the go. Like it takes maximum of 2 minutes to scale a VM from any size to any size in terms of compute I'm talking about, right? So the speed of delivery and no capacity planning needed by them. It is just on the fly and dynamic. Whatever the resources you wanted, you can dynamically build and dynamically close it as required. So agility in provisioning of computing resources through self-service on-demand feature enable the depressurized capacity planning. You don't have to do any capacity planning, right? So that's something good. You don't have to unnecessarily invest on the buffer resources if it is a cloud. That is also another benefit we have it. Enhanced productivity. To talk about enhanced productivity, before cloud was there, you all know that if you are a good in one technology, you are an SME in one technology, you will used to get paid very decent amount. I mean, you used to get good salaries and all that. Now it's not the case. If you know only one technology, you're not valid anymore. I mean, your profile, if you go only with the SQL with the 10 plus years of experience, people are not entertaining anymore. You need to have something additional for sure. The cloud is actually brought that demand in the market, because cloud has ready-made things. You don't have to do end-to-end administration. A lot of things are automated. 50% of the administration in the past model, right? So when things are automated, and why they need too many people? They don't need it. With the less people they can operate. But if they have too many people also, they can use the same people for different purpose, for different technologies to support, right? If you know the multi technologies, one person is supporting multi technology, the client will not lose him, right? Because one person is doing the equivalent of 3 to 4 people in on-prem. Because it is a cloud is a ready-made, it is giving you ready-made options to manage your technologies, and you can make the employee that free time where, because he's not doing end to end, right? So when he's not doing end to end, he's doing only 50%. Other 50% effort he can keep somewhere to learn new things, That's where the new this multi-technology people are came into demand after cloud implementation. Before that, if you know one technology in and out, that's more than enough to survive in the market. But now it is not anymore. We have to scale with the different technologies ourselves. It is very important, and it's a time to scale up ourselves with the different things, with not with the one technology. I work on different technologies, like I do work on Mongo, I do work on Postgres, I do work on all the cloud technologies. Still, market is still expecting more and more. So better to learn one technology each year at least, so that we can match with the market expectations slowly. And just a personal advice. Reliability. Reliability is very big word. It talks about how safe my data is. It talks about how my data can be recoverable if it is in case of corruption. Two cases it will cover. How safe your data? 100% safe. It is a 7-layered security. No one can hack your data in the cloud unless you are creating a bad rule. How bad rules can be created, I'm going to simulate that. I'm going to show that in our class anyway. Your data is absolutely like hack free. Absolutely no one can hack it. No one can. Your SQL Server, no one can hack it in the cloud. But how you are creating the rules around it, that matters. Yourself, they are protected. They give you, your data is by default encrypted, your every VM disk also encrypted. Everything is encrypted in the cloud. If someone is stealing the data from the cloud infrastructure where it is hosted, they cannot do anything with the data because it is encrypted. They don't have keys. They have the hardware and data with them, but they cannot read it out of it because it is encrypted by default. So data is protected by default. You don't have to worry about the protection. That is one thing Microsoft is giving you the guarantee. Second thing is recoverability. Recoverability, I was talking about this. If it is a past model, you get this design where I was talking about. Come on, I wrote it in. Sorry. Yeah. If it is a PaaS model, for a single database, they maintain two more copies with the equivalent of primary. In case of any physical hardware failures, it will repair automatically, self heal, and then you will see your data all the time. It is a corruption free. And also, if it is a manual corruption, also you have the recovery through the continuous backups. That is a PaaS model side. You don't have to worry about data side at all, recovery side at all. DR side also you don't have to look at. If it is a PaaS model, if it is a VM model, you have always on, like on-prem. You have your own VM to VM replication. You have continuous backups into the vault. Corruption free backups you can take in the cloud. You can take it to the blob, you can take it to the vault. It is a single click, it will restore on the VM also up to the point what you wanted. You don't have to restore full with no recovery differentials, and then you don't have to restore all the log backups manually. You just give a point and then restore. Even on the VM also, we have such capabilities to restore. So the recovery also easy on the VM side also, not just the PaaS side. So the cloud is giving you integrated tools to manage your product end to end, recoverability wise and security wise. It is absolutely safe. Just that we need to understand how to use it. So we're going to simulate everything anyway. We'll look at it. Right. So if you look at the cloud, cloud side, what is like more older technology compared to all is AWS. AWS started in 2008, way long ago than Azure, I can say. Azure was getting the market since 2014. That is where it started good implementation. Before that, Azure, even I started during that time, 15, you know, in mid of 15. In fact, working on this, I used to work in the Classic portal also. Classic portal is right now the portal is RM portal, we'll call it Resource Manager portal, which is a fully automated. You just create a service, it will create all dependencies. Classic portal is not like that. You have to create all the dependencies first as separate entities and create the actual service and pick up those entities when you are creating it. It was a very vague process we had. Anyway, RM was given in 2016 to 17 in during that time. The RM portal was introduced 2017, 18 something, I guess. I don't remember, but yes, after 2, 3 years, we got RM portal there. The things went actually stabilized. But before that, there was a lot of issues with Azure I've seen. If a server gets shut down automatically, we don't have any control. We have to raise a P1 with the Microsoft, then they will come and then they'll do the investigation. And by the time the client will come and he will keep escalate. So that was, I have seen all those days. In fact, now it is not anymore. So what I'm discussing all this is AWS is a matured yes than Azure in terms of technology, in terms of experience. Like it is very older one compared to Azure, but the reasons why we need to move only the SQL to Azure side than AWS, because it's a Microsoft product. The cloud is also this cloud is also Microsoft. So Microsoft is claiming Azure is 5 times cheaper, 5 times AWS. AWS is 5 times costlier, 5 times costlier than Azure. I mean, just look at something. They have written on the official on the website. Azure is 5 times. Something. I mean, on their website. Let me go to. I wanted to show that. It's Microsoft, right? All right. This is exactly. If you look at AWS is up to 5 times more expensive than Azure for Windows Server and SQL Server. Why? See, if you look at the money, you look at this. It is a Microsoft official site. It is a Microsoft product. The cloud also Microsoft. So they will give you the 50% hybrid benefit, up to 50% hybrid benefit. So what is hybrid benefit? You are running the SQL Server on-prem. You have your product key. Use the same key in the cloud. You straight away get the benefit. Straight away the bill will come down automatically. That is hybrid benefit first. The long-term benefits, like you are purchasing the server for like example 3 years. I'm upfront. I'm paying it 62% straight away. You're getting the hybrid benefit. On top of it, you're getting the long-term reservation benefit up to 60%. So if you compare both those options, it is definitely more than up to five times cheaper compared to, because I do work on AWS, I do work on Azure. So Azure is better. We have certain services on Azure for different clients, in fact. But compared to this, you have the major cost optimizations are possible on Azure, not on AWS. AWS is also, I mean, based on the compute, you definitely have to scale, and you don't have any hybrid model kind of benefits there. And compared to Azure and AWS, AWS is more costlier because it's someone else. They also need to gain their own margins because they need to pay to the Microsoft also at the end, right? They are using their licenses, their softwares. So is a third party, is a direct product. So that way, for especially for SQL product, especially for the SQL product, we definitely have to choose the Microsoft product only for sure. The Azure cloud only than AWS. AWS has the capabilities, I mean the more technologies than Azure compared to the services wise, but the more infrastructure is with the Azure only as of now. Azure has a majority of the cloud infrastructure right now. It used to be way behind AWS, but they rigorously building the resources and they are growing more than the AWS now implementation wise. They stabilize the infrastructure, they're adding more and more services year and year and month by month. They are absolutely competing with AWS and they can give the better benefit. The Microsoft always build the, one thing is user friendly products. See, you have a technology, it is complex. You have a technology which is cheaper and easy to learn and easy to support. That also, see, you have a technology, if you don't have people to support, then it is useless, right? So Microsoft always aim the product to make it user friendly. That is the one thing. Compared to AWS, Azure is easy to learn. AWS little complex compared to, even migrations management was little somewhat not too much complex, but yes, I would say that Azure is straightforward compared to AWS in terms of administration, in terms of migrations, all that. So Azure always, the Microsoft always look for the user-friendly products. That's where it is a big selling point. Other selling point for our profile as a SQL DBS, we all SQL DBS. That's why we are learning the Azure, in fact. So for all SQL DBAs nowadays, the more of the market is towards Azure only than AWS, because Azure is giving the too much of benefits to the clients. That's where all our, even we have one of the client with AWS, we entirely migrated from AWS to Azure itself because of the cost saving. So obviously, as a SQL DBA, the Azure is a booming cloud technology for us. We need to go with it. AWS is also have the openings, but not compared to Azure at the moment. Google Compute is a very, I would say that it is still not in the competition with these two providers as of now, but still it is growing. It is also growing cloud provider as of now. It also has a lot of legacy things like Azure, I said. Um, it's it's not so user friendly at the moment in terms of administration. It has to do a lot of enhancements. In fact, these providers are already there, but this is not it there like with the ready-made options what we have here. So cloud, Google may not be the great competitor, but these two are the biggest competitor in the cloud provider as of now. Okay, just for the information. Then why Microsoft always user friendly, easy to learn, rapid growth in terms of computing. In fact, see, the more infrastructure they are deploying because they are getting the more demand. That is another factor why they are growing than AWS. If you look at the Azure and AWS, AWS started 8 years ago than the Azure, but Azure is already surpassed their infrastructure than AWS, much like availability than the Azure. In terms of infrastructure, the geographic coverage, the Azure has a more coverage than AWS. Okay, as of now, more regions and data center than any other cloud provider. This is what I'm saying. More regions, more geographic coverage at the moment, and the cloud provider is Azure only at the moment. The biggest computing power is also with Azure, not with AWS. Cost effective compared to other competitors. Always Microsoft will look at the cost effective solution. Most of the services, in fact, especially Microsoft products. Whatever you are using Microsoft products, if you use in the Azure cloud, you definitely get the hybrid benefits. So that's where it is growing. In fact, Microsoft products are coming to all to the Azure cloud. That's really, that's where it will easily can grow than AWS, right? Because Microsoft has everything, entire stack, what is required by any business. Then what type of certifications you can go through after it? If AG104, like I'll cover up to 50% of infrastructure, in fact, towards that certification, like how you can manage the VM, how you can create the VM, like which will be best for the SQL, in fact, with all the standards. Okay, and how you like make the VM templates, like you create a VM, automatically it'll install SQL, you get the tools, you get the storage, everything is aligned. You standardize one object, it's a template object, and then build the VMs from it. You don't have to do anything. Like you build a VM, automatically it'll get you. That we're going to discuss how you can create the VM templates or golden images, we'll call it as. We'll discuss that. That covers up to 50% of the AG104, but 100% up to 80% of DP300. In fact, more of theoretical I don't cover, most of practical I'll cover. In fact, theory side you have to go through some dumps and all that. Up to 75 to 80% is the practical. Practical I'll cover everything, but theoretic side you have to definitely visit some dumps and all that to know the pattern, question pattern, how it comes. So the entire course, our course is designed and majorly covers 3DP300. This is a course, this is a certification you can easily take after the course. This will also will help you like up to 50% of the AG104. If you are interested, this is not required for SQL DBase. In fact, it is for the Windows admins, they can take this certification. In fact, for SQL DBase, DB300 is more relevant compared to it. If you look at the course side, I designed into 10 modules. Okay. This is where we're going to start actual thing. Tomorrow, I mean the next class on Monday, I'll cover how you create a free account. How you manage your account with a lesser bill. You practice an entire month every day. Your bill does not go beyond your $10, or if it India maybe 500 to 600 maximum. Okay. It won't go beyond it. I'll tell you the tricks how we can manage that. Okay. And implementing the virtual machines, like how you can create a VMs with all the standards with the SQL. how you can do the generic operations on the VM side, what we need to know as a DB, like extending the drive, and you adding the space to the drive, or you are moving a drive onto other server to move a big backup files, how you migrate on-prem to cloud using the disk migrations. So we'll talk about all that, in fact. And networking is important, how you can communicate towards infrastructure side, the communication, how you see that if one SQL server is not talking to other SQL server, how do you say that it is not open, the communication is not open, how easily we can read it, the rules and all that. That is 4 class will see it, in fact. How the load balancer works with app services, like how a load balancer can distribute the load in the backend web servers. We'll see all of that. Okay. And then the storage, how storage can be used for the migrations, and what type of storage we do have. These are all about the infrastructure. The major discussion for us comes in the eighth module. This is where we're going to spend really good amount of time, 14 to 15 classes on this module itself. Okay. And how you can integrate the Azure Active Directory with the SQL services. You cannot use on-prem accounts in the PaaS model, in the SaaS model. How we can integrate those accounts in the PaaS SQL when you migrate. How you manage the security, how, what compliances we need to follow. So all that will be covered in the Active Directory thing. I mean, in this module itself will come, but in here, on-prem to cloud, how you migrate on-prem domain, how you use those account in the cloud. There here I'll discuss. And automation talks about many types. I mean, I'm going to talk about how do you use on-prem SQL agent to automate in the cloud, on-prem server in the cloud you can automate. And you can use logic app automations, and you can use the elastic agent job, runbook automation, powershell automations. 5 different types of automation I'm going to cover with the cloud. So the course outline is shared with everyone, I guess. So in each module what we're going to cover, whatever is mentioned, every point is going to be covered up in our course. Okay, so go through it. And if you I did not send this course to anyone, please let me know, I'll share it anyway. Okay, so this is about the today's discussion, guys. I did not go towards much of technical side because we are just taking an introduction of what we are learning, kind of. Okay, in the next class we will see how you can create Azure free account, and what are the things we need to know to do the administration. The entire thing I'll cover in the next class. Then we'll go towards the practical side. We'll start doing the creating the VMs, understanding the VM architectures, how you can create a VM for making a SQL, better performing SQL on top of that VM. We'll see all of that options that we need to know. Okay, every option that is there on the VM we need to know. There is a reason why there is an option on the VM when the portal. We're going to talk about every option that we have. So for now, for today's as a demo, this is all about it. Anyone have any question, please open up and ask. I'm absolutely, see, I would request, if you have any question in your mind, please open up. I'm okay to take in everyone's question, and it's not something I have to close this batch in these many classes only. I don't work for anyone. It is absolutely how much you ask, that much will be. I'll deliver everything, even you don't ask anyway. But if you ask some question, maybe that is someone else is also having the similar question, that will be justified. Keep it more interactive, so that you know if you have some questions, then it will be clarified then and there itself. That's what I wanted to just convey. Anyone want to ask anything before I stop the video? Just stay back. If you have
Hi
question,
Ravinder.
please let me know. Yeah, go ahead.
Hi Ravinder, this is Siva.
Yeah, sure.
So when you talked about the hybrid model, you talked about public and private computing, right? Cloud computing.
Right. Hmm.
So is this between on-premise and the cloud, or the public and private? So
Private
you
in the sense
said,
is it's on-prem itself. We can say that.
what is the public in that case in
Public
hybrid?
is like public can be Azure cloud or AWS cloud or Google cloud. They are the public clouds, in fact. Your
I mean,
data
they
center
are in
is
a
a private
different
cloud.
domain. They connect to the private cloud. How they connect to the private cloud? Like using some
VPNs,
B2B connection, or
site to
I mean,
site
how they
VPNs.
integrate the domain controller, how they authenticate with the private cloud.
That I'm going to show it in live. I'm going to integrate it. I'm going to show in the class.
Okay.
The integration of my laptop, it's a private. I'll integrate with the cloud. Anything I do it here, it will reflect in the cloud. And how things work, we will see that in practical. In fact, you don't have to worry about. I'll give a 100% idea infrastructure side also. How I connect to the cloud VM on the private IP using my local laptop, using the VPN. I'll build a VPN software also in the class. VPN
Okay.
software, right, with all the steps. You can also build your own.
Okay. Yeah, I just need a clarification that, like, it's not between on-premise and the cloud environment, but you are talking about the public cloud and the private cloud, right?
On-prem itself is a private actually. Everything is a cloud. Everything, see, you're connecting over the internet and doing anything is a cloud. So your on-prem data center is your private cloud. So it is that way. We are con-
On-prem, how can
your
on-prem can become a cloud?
it is also a cloud because you are not sitting just beside the server to do the administration or manage it. You are sitting somewhere. Your anything you connect over the internet is cloud actually. Cloud in the sense it is
Okay.
your own cloud. It's a private cloud. Whatever the companies own, that is called private clouds. They own it, they
Okay.
maintain it, they keep it themselves. That is a
Okay, got
private.
it. Okay.
Yeah. Any other question from anyone? If no questions, I'll stop the video and just stay back.